It was a bright, sunny afternoon in Maple Grove, a quiet little neighborhood where houses sat in neat rows and kids played in the streets. Everyone seemed to know what everyone else was doing, like they all shared one big secret. For 12-year-old Mia Carter, it was just another day. She zoomed around on her blue bike, the wind whipping her braids, or helped her mom with chores around their new house. Mia was a quiet kid, always polite, always smile, like she didn't have a care in the world. But here's the thing nobody in Maple Grove knew. Mia was super good at noticing stuff. Little things like a bird's nest in a tree or a crack in the sidewalk, things other people walked right past. And that talent of hers, it was about to shake up the whole neighborhood. Mia and her mom, Sarah, had only lived in Maple Grove for a few months. They were still getting used to it. The houses were pretty, with green lawns and shiny mailboxes, but the rules were tough, stricter than the meanest teacher's rule book. There was this group called the HOA, short for Homeowners Association, that made sure everyone followed those rules. And the person in charge, a woman named Karen Wilson. Behind her back, people called her HOA Karen, but never to her face. Karen was tall, with a pointy nose that seemed to sniff out trouble. She always carried a clipboard, holding it tight like it was her best friend. She'd march up and down the streets, her eyes sharp, pointing at grass that was too long or trash cans left out after pickup day. "That's not allowed," she'd snap, and people would just nod. Nobody wanted to mess with Karen. Mia didn't like how Karen acted, but she didn't say much. She wasn't the kind of kid who made a fuss. Instead, she watched. She saw how Karen walked like she owned the whole neighborhood, how her lips curled into a smirk when she caught someone breaking a rule. Mia noticed other things too, like how Karen would linger near mailboxes, peeking at envelopes when she thought no one was looking. It gave Mia a funny feeling, like a knot in her stomach, but she wasn't sure why. Mia's mom, Sarah, was too busy to worry about Karen. Sarah was a nurse at the big hospital in town. She worked long hours, sometimes all night, and came home with tired eyes but a warm smile for Mia. Sarah was kind to everyone, even when she was juggling bills or rushing to buy groceries. Lately, though, Sarah had been extra stressed. Mia had asthma, which meant sometimes it was hard for her to breathe, especially on cold days or when she ran too fast. She needed special medicine to keep her lungs happy, a kind that came in a little inhaler she carried everywhere. That medicine wasn't easy to get. The doctor said it was rare, and Sarah had to order it from a special pharmacy far away. A few days ago, Sarah got a message that made her face light up. "Good news, Mia," she said, waving her phone. "The medicine's coming tomorrow. It's all set." Mia grinned, but that funny feeling in her stomach didn't go away. She kept thinking about Karen, about the way she snooped around. "Mom," Mia said, twirling one of her braids around her finger, "what if something happens to the package?" Sarah laughed, ruffling Mia's hair. "Oh, sweetie, don't worry. It's got a tracking number, so we'll know exactly where it is. Nobody's going to take it. People aren't that bold." Mia nodded, but deep down, she wasn't so sure. The next morning, Mia woke up early, her eyes wide open before the sun even peeked through her curtains. She couldn't stop thinking about that package. It wasn't just medicine. It was what kept her breathing easy, what let her ride her bike and play tag with her friends without gasping for air. She slipped on her favorite sneakers, grabbed a glass of orange juice, and sat on the front porch to wait. The street was quiet, just a few birds chirping and a dog barking down the block. Mia pulled out her sketchbook where she liked to draw pictures of the neighborhood, trees, houses, even the grumpy cat that lived next door. But today, she wasn't drawing. She was watching. Around noon, a big white delivery truck rumbled down the street. Mia's heart did a little jump. The driver, a guy with a friendly smile, hopped out and carried a small white box to the porch. "Hey there," he called to Mia, giving her a wave. "This is for you guys." He set the box by the door and drove off, the truck's engine fading into the distance. Mia stared at the box, her grin so big it hurt her cheeks. The medicine was here. She wanted to rip it open, but Sarah had told her to leave it for later. "It's important, Mia," her mom had said. "We need to check it carefully when I get home." Mia ran inside to tell her mom, who was pulling on her nurse's scrubs for work. "It's here, Mom, the package came." Sarah smiled, but she looked rushed, her hands fumbling with her keys. "That's great, honey, just leave it there, okay? I'll take care of it tonight. It's safe on the porch." Mia nodded, but as she walked back outside, that funny feeling came back, stronger than ever. She sat on the steps, her sketchbook open, pretending to draw but really keeping an eye on that little white box. Maple Grove wasn't the kind of place where things went missing. At least, that's what people said. The neighbors were friendly, always waving or chatting about the weather. There was Mr. Jenkins, who walked his tiny dog every morning, and Mrs. Lopez, who baked cookies for the kids. But then there was Karen. Mia couldn't shake the memory of her poking around their mailbox a few weeks ago, flipping through letters like she had a right to see them. Mia hadn't told anyone, not even her mom. No, she didn't want to sound like she was making stuff up. But now, with the medicine sitting there, Mia felt like she had to stay alert. As the afternoon went on, the sun climbed higher, making the porch warm under Mia's sneakers. She sipped her juice, her eyes darting to the box every few minutes. She told herself everything would be fine. The package was safe, just like her mom said. Nobody would take it in broad daylight, but Mia couldn't relax. She kept thinking about Karen's clipboard, her sharp voice, the way she seemed to know everything that happened in Maple Grove. What if Karen saw the package? What if she thought it was her business to check it? Mia's best friend Lucas rode by on his skateboard, his cap turned backward. "Yo, Mia, what's up?" he called, doing a little spin. Mia waved but didn't say much. She didn't want to tell him about the package yet, it felt too private. Lucas shrugged and skated off, leaving Mia alone again. She flipped a page in her sketchbook, drawing a quick picture of the delivery box just to keep her hands busy. The box looked so small, so easy to grab. She shook her head. "Stop it, Mia," she whispered to herself. "You're being silly." But deep down, Mia wasn't sure she was being silly at all. She learned something in her 12 years. When you get a funny feeling, it's usually because something's not right. And right now, that feeling was screaming at her to keep watch. She didn't know it yet, but that little white box was about to start a chain of events that would change Maple Grove forever. Karen Wilson, with her clipboard and her Snoopy eyes, was about to make a big mistake, and Mia was going to be the one to catch her. The next morning, Mia woke up with the sun barely peeking through her window. She didn't want to miss a thing. She grabbed her sketchbook and plopped down on the front porch, her favorite spot in the whole house. Mia loved drawing Maple Grove, the tall trees, the tidy houses, even grumpy old Mr. Jenkins shuffling by with his little dog barking at squirrels. Her pencil would dance across the page, making the neighborhood come alive. But today, Mia wasn't drawing. Her eyes were stuck on the street, watching for one thing: the delivery truck. That truck was bringing her medicine, the special kind that helped her breathe easy when her asthma acted up. She couldn't stop thinking about it. Mia sat cross-legged, her sketchbook open but empty. She tapped her pencil, her stomach doing little flips. That funny feeling she'd had yesterday was still there, like a whisper telling her to stay sharp. She tried to push it away, telling herself everything would be fine. The package was coming and her mom said it was safe, but Mia couldn't shake the worry. Around noon, she heard a low rumble. Her head snapped up. There it was, the big white delivery truck rolling down the street like a giant toy car. Mia's heart jumped. The driver, a guy with a big smile, hopped out and carried a small white box to the porch. "Hey kid," he called, waving at Mia. "This is for you guys." He set the box right by the door, climbed back in his truck, and drove off, the engine fadding away. Mia stared at the box, her grin so wide it made her cheeks ache. The medicine was here. She did a little bounce, like she'd just scored a goal in soccer. She ran inside, her sneakers squeaking on the floor. "Mom, Mom, it's here," she shouted. Her mom, Sarah, was in the kitchen, pulling on her nurse's scrubs for work. Her hair was in a messy bun and she was grabbing her keys off the counter. "That's awesome, Mia," Sarah said, smiling but looking rushed. "Just leave it there, okay? I'll pick it up when I get home. It's safe on the porch." Mia nodded, but that funny feeling in her stomach twisted tighter. She wanted to say something, to tell her mom about Karen snooping around before, but Sarah was already halfway out the door. "Love you, sweetie," she called, and then she was gone. Mia went back to the porch, her sketchbook in her lap. She told herself to relax. The box was right there, sitting quietly by the door. Nobody would take it. Maple Grove was a nice place, right? But she kept one eye on the street, just in case. She tried to draw a tree maybe, or the mailbox, but her pencil wouldn't move. All she could think about was that little white box and how important it was. Not even an hour later, Mia heard something. Footsteps. Sharp, loud ones, like someone was walking with purpose. She froze, her heart thumping. Slowly, she leaned over and peeked through the curtains by the front window. And there she was, Karen Wilson, the HOA lady everyone whispered about. Karen was strutting down the sidewalk, her clipboard tucked under one arm like always. Her pointy nose was high in the air, and her eyes were scanning everything like she was hunting for trouble. Mia's breath caught in her throat. Karen stopped right in front of Mia's house. Mia watched, her eyes wide. Karen's gaze locked onto the package like a cat spotting a mouse. "What's she doing?" Mia whispered to herself, her voice barely a squeak. Karen looked left, then right, like she was making sure nobody was around. Mia's heart skipped a beat. She wanted to shout, to bang on the window, but her body wouldn't move. Then in one quick motion, Karen leaned down, snatched the box, and tucked it under her arm. Just like that, she turned and walked off, her heels clicking on the pavement, sharp and fast. Mia's jaw dropped. She couldn't believe it. Did that just happen? Did Karen really just steal her medicine? Her hands shook, and for a second she thought about running after her, yelling for Karen to stop. but something inside told her to stay calm. Karen didn't know Mia was watching, and Mia wasn't just any kid, she was a kid who noticed things. She grabbed her phone from her pocket, her fingers fumbling, and opened the camera. Karen was almost at the corner, the box still under her arm. Mia zoomed in and snapped a picture, catching Karen just before she disappeared behind a hedge. "Gotcha," Mia muttered, her voice low but fierce. She stared at the photo, her heart racing. There it was, proof. Karen with her stupid clipboard and her sneaky hands holding Mia's package like it was hers. Mia's stomach churned, but not with fear anymore. Now she was mad. That box wasn't just some random thing, it was her medicine, the stuff that kept her from wheezing and coughing. How dare Karen take it? Mia wanted to march over to Karen's house right then, but she took a deep breath. She had to be smart about this. Mia stayed on the porch all afternoon, her mind spinning. She kept checking her phone, zooming in on the picture to make sure it was real. Every time she heard a noise, a car, a dog barking, she jumped, thinking maybe Karen was coming back, but the street stayed quiet. The package was gone and Mia felt helpless. She couldn't just sit there, but she didn't know what to do yet. All she knew was that Karen had crossed a line, and Mia wasn't going to let her get away with it. When Sarah got home that night, Mia was waiting by the door. The second Sarah walked in, Mia blurted out everything. "Mom, Karen took it. She took the package. I saw her." Sarah's face went pale, like all the color drained out. "Mia, slow down," she said, setting her bag down. "Are you sure? That's a big deal to say about someone." Mia didn't hesitate. She pulled out her phone and showed her mom the picture, Karen, clear as day, with the box in her hands. Sarah's eyes narrowed and her lips pressed into a thin line. "Oh," she said, her voice quiet but hard. "Okay, we're going to handle this, but we need more proof." Mia nodded, her hands clenched into fists. She was scared, sure, Karen was a grown-up and grown-ups could be tricky. But Mia wasn't helpless. She'd seen what happened and she had a picture to prove it. Karen thought she was sneaky, but Mia was sneakier. That funny feeling in her stomach, it wasn't just worry anymore. It was a fire, a spark telling her to fight back. She didn't know how yet, but one thing was clear. Karen had messed with the wrong kid. The next day, Mia woke up with a mission. She wasn't just a kid anymore, she was a detective. She didn't tell her friends or make a big scene. That would be silly. If Karen was sneaky, Mia had to be even sneakier. She tiptoed to the kitchen where her mom's phone was charging. Mia knew the delivery app had answers. She opened it and saw the package was marked delivered. That made her heart sink. But then she spotted something else, a tracking number. It was like a secret code that followed the package. Mia showed it to her mom, Sarah, who was sipping coffee before work. Sarah called the pharmacy right away. Mia listened, holding her breath. The person on the phone said the medicine was definitely in that box. It was super expensive, super rare, and super important for Mia's asthma. Without it, Mia could have trouble breathing and getting a new one might take weeks. Sarah's face got serious. "Thanks," she said, hanging up. She looked at Mia. "We'll figure this out, sweetie, but we need to be sure it was Karen." Mia nodded. She was sure, but she knew they needed more proof. Mia decided to keep an eye on Karen's house. She grabbed her bike, the blue one with a bell that jingled, and rode down the street. She didn't want anyone to think she was spying, so she acted normal, pedaling slow like she was just having fun. Karen lived in a big house at the end of the block. It had perfect roses in the yard, all red and neat, and a shiny sign that said HOA President. Mia slowed down as she passed. Her eyes scanned the house, looking for clues. Then she saw it, something weird. Behind a bush by Karen's garage was a pile of boxes, not just one or two but a bunch stacked like a secret tower. Some had ripped labels, like someone had torn them open to peek inside. Mia's stomach did a flip. Her package was a small white box just like some of those. Was Karen stealing from other people too? Mia's heart beat faster. She wanted to get closer, but what if Karen was watching? She kept pedaling, her mind racing with questions. At school that day, Mia couldn't focus. Her teacher was talking about fractions, but Mia was thinking about boxes and Karen's sneaky face. During lunch, she sat with her friends at their usual table. That's when she heard something. A kid named Emma was complaining. "My new book never showed up," Emma said, poking at her sandwich. "It said delivered, but it's gone." Then another kid, Jaden, chimed in. "Yeah, my sneakers didn't come either. My mom's so mad." Mia's ears perked up. Missing packages. That sounded familiar. Nobody at the table blamed Karen. She was the HOA boss, always acting proper with her clipboard and her rules. People thought she was strict, not a thief, but Mia wasn't fooled. She remembered the pile by the garage, the torn labels, the way Karen grabbed her package without a second thought. Mia's funny feeling wasn't just a feeling anymore, it was a clue. After school, Mia went home and pulled out a notebook. It was her detective notebook now. She wrote down everything she knew: the time Karen took the package, the picture she snapped, the pile of boxes by the garage. She even drew sketches, little pictures of the packages, the bush, and Karen's house. Her pencil moved fast, making every detail clear. If she was going to catch Karen, she had to keep track of everything. One afternoon, Mia was back on her bike, riding past Karen's house again. She was careful, pretending to fix her shoelace so she could stop and look. That's when her best friend Lucas zoomed up on his skateboard. "Yo, Mia, what's up?" he said, flipping his cap backward. "You're acting like a secret agent or something." Mia froze. She didn't want everyone knowing her plan, but Lucas was different. He was her friend, the one who always had her back. Mia took a deep breath and told him everything about the medicine, Karen stealing it, the picture, and the pile of boxes. Lucas's eyes got huge, like saucers. "Whoa," he said, "that's messed up. What if she's like selling all that stuff?" Mia blinked. Selling it? She hadn't thought of that. She pictured Karen with a pile of money, laughing as she hid other people's things. "Maybe," Mia said, her voice quiet, "but I need to know for sure." That night, Mia and Lucas sat on her porch, whispering so nobody could hear. They made a plan, a big one. They wanted to catch Karen in the act, like detectives in a movie. Mia knew it wouldn't be easy. Karen was clever, always checking to see if anyone was watching, but Mia was clever too. "What if we trick her?" Mia said, her eyes sparkling. "Like make her think there's another package." Lucas grinned. "That's awesome, let's do it." Mia's mom wasn't happy when she heard the plan. Sarah was washing dishes, her hands all soapy, when Mia told her. "Mia, that's dangerous," Sarah said, frowning. "We should just call the police." Mia shook her head. "Mom, please," she begged. "Just one more day. I've got this. I promise I'll be careful." Sarah looked at Mia for a long time, her eyes soft but worried. Finally, she sighed. "Okay," she said, "but you stay safe, Mia. Karen's not someone to mess with." Mia nodded, her heart pounding with excitement. She wasn't scared, not really. She was mad and she was ready. Karen thought she could take whatever she wanted, but Mia was watching. Every box by that garage, every kid's missing toy, every time Karen snooped, it all added up. Mia didn't know exactly what Karen was doing with those packages, but she was close to finding out. She could feel it, like a puzzle coming together. As Mia went to bed that night, she stared at her notebook, open on her desk. Her sketches looked back at her, the boxes, the bush, Karen's pointy nose. Mia smiled a little. Karen might be the HOA boss, but Mia was the detective, and detectives didn't give up. Mia and Lucas had a plan, and it was a good one, but it was also a little scary. They wanted to catch Karen, the sneaky HOA lady, red-handed. Mia knew they had to be super careful. Karen was tricky, always looking around to make sure nobody saw her. So Mia and Lucas came up with something clever. They borrowed an old phone from Mia's mom, Sarah. It was one she didn't use anymore, but it could still record videos. They climbed a tree across the street from Karen's big house and hid the phone in the branches. Lucas made sure it was steady, tucked between some leaves where nobody would notice. They set it to start recording if anything moved, like a secret spy camera. Then came the fun part. Mia found an empty box in the garage about the same size as her medicine package. She taped it shut and wrote a fake address on it with a marker, making it look like a real delivery. It wasn't perfect, but up close it seemed legit. Mia grinned as she stuck it to the porch with extra tape so it wouldn't fall over. "If Karen takes this," she whispered to Lucas, "we've got her." Lucas gave her a thumbs up. "She's gonna fall for it," he said. Their trap was set, and now they just had to wait. Mia barely slept that night. Her stomach was all fluttery, like butterflies were dancing inside. What if Karen didn't show up? What if she saw the phone? But Mia pushed those thoughts away. She had to stay focused. This wasn't just about her medicine anymore. It was about all the stuff Karen might be taking from other people. Mia wanted to stop her, not just for herself, but for everyone. The next morning, Mia was up before the sun. She sat by her bedroom window, peeking through the curtains. The fake box was still on the porch, looking lonely in the early light. Mia's heart thumped loud in her chest. She kept her phone close, ready to text Lucas. The street was quiet, just a few birds chirping and a cat slinking by. Then, around 8 o'clock, Mia saw her. Karen. She was marching down the sidewalk, her clipboard under her arm, her pointy nose high like always. Mia held her breath. "Come on," she whispered. "Take it." Karen slowed down as she got to Mia's house. Her eyes locked onto the fake box just like they had with the real one. Mia's fingers gripped the curtain tight. Karen looked left, then right, checking the street. Then, quick as a fox, she stepped onto the porch, grabbed the box, and tucked it under her arm. Mia's heart raced so fast she thought it might pop out. Karen didn't even pause. She headed straight for her house, her heels clicking loud on the pavement. Mia grabbed her phone and texted Lucas, "It's go time." She slipped on her sneakers and ran outside, meeting Lucas at the corner. They sprinted to the tree, giggling nervously as they climbed up to grab the phone. Mia's hands shook as she opened the video. There it was, clear as day, Karen snatching the fake box, looking sneaky as she hurried to her garage. But it got better. The video showed Karen opening her garage door and tossing the fake box onto a pile of others. Then she pulled out another box, Mia's real package, the one with her medicine. Karen ripped it open, pulled out the inhaler, and frowned. She muttered something, then tossed it into a bin like it was a piece of trash. Mia's face got hot. She was mad, really mad. That was her medicine, the stuff that kept her breathing right, and Karen just threw it away like it was nothing. But Mia didn't yell or cry. She stayed focused. "We got her," she said to Lucas, her voice steady. Lucas nodded, his eyes wide. "That's so messed up," he said. "What now?" Mia knew exactly what to do. She called her mom. Sarah was already on her way home. Mia had told her about the pile of boxes by Karen's garage, and Sarah had called the police that morning. She didn't want to wait anymore, not after seeing Mia's picture of Karen with the real package. Mia and Lucas ran back to the house, the phone clutched tight in Mia's hand. When Sarah pulled up, a police officer was with her, a tall man with a serious face. Mia's heart did a little flip, but she wasn't scared. She was ready. Mia showed the officer everything, her notebook with all her notes and sketches, the picture of Karen stealing the real package, and now the video of her taking the fake one. "This is everything," Mia said, her voice strong like she was a real detective. The officer watched the video, his eyebrows going up. "Good work, kid," he said, nodding. "Let's go talk to Ms. Wilson." They walked to Karen's house together, Mia, Lucas, Sarah, and the officer. Mia's legs felt wobbly, but she kept her head high. When the officer knocked on Karen's door, Mia held her breath. The door swung open and there was Karen, all smiles like she was expecting a friend. "Hello, officer," she said, her voice sweet as candy. Then she saw Mia standing behind him and her smile disappeared. Her face went pale like she'd seen a ghost. "What's this about?" she asked, her voice wobbly. The officer held up the phone and played the video. "Care to explain, Ms. Wilson?" he said, his tone firm. Karen's eyes darted to the screen, watching herself grab the fake box and toss Mia's medicine. She opened her mouth, then closed it like a fish out of water. I was just holding those for neighbors," she stammered. "I was going to give them back, but the officer wasn't buying it." He stepped past her, looking at the garage. There was the bin full of opened boxes, including Mia's medicine, still sealed in its package. Mia's heart soared. They had her. Karen couldn't lie her way out of this one. The officer turned to Sarah. "Looks like we've got enough here," he said. Mia looked at Karen, who was staring at the ground, her clipboard forgotten on the porch. For the first time, Karen didn't look like the boss of anything. She looked small, like a kid caught stealing cookies. Mia felt a rush of pride. She'd done it. Her plan, her video, her smarts, they'd shown everyone who Karen really was. She wasn't just a kid anymore. She was the one who stopped a thief. Karen's perfect world fell apart faster than a popsicle melting in the sun. The police didn't just find Mia's medicine in her garage. They found a ton of stolen stuff. There were boxes everywhere, stuffed with clothes, shiny gadgets, and even a kid's birthday present wrapped in bright blue paper with a bow. It was like a secret hideout for a thief. Neighbors started to gather outside Karen's house, their mouths open in shock. They whispered to each other, pointing at the garage. Nobody could believe it. Karen, the HOA boss with her fancy clipboard, was a crook. The police officer carried Mia's medicine out of the garage, still sealed in its little white box. Mia's heart did a happy dance when she saw it. Her mom, Sarah, was standing right there, her eyes big with worry. When the officer handed her the box, Sarah grabbed Mia and hugged her so tight it felt like she might squish her. "You're incredible, kiddo," Sarah said, her voice all soft and proud. Mia hugged her back, grinning so hard her cheeks hurt. The medicine was safe, and that meant Mia could breathe easy again. No more wheezing or scary asthma days. As the police kept searching, they loaded more boxes into their car. Karen stood by her front door looking smaller than ever. Her face was red and she wouldn't look at anyone. Then the officer walked over to her holding handcuffs. "Ms. Wilson, you're coming with us," he said. Karen tried to argue, her voice squeaky, but it was no use. Everyone watched as the police led her to their car. She didn't even pick up her clipboard. It just lay on the lawn, forgot, like a broken toy. The neighbors gasped and whispered louder. Karen, the lady who bossed everyone around, was in big trouble now. Mia stood with Lucas and Sarah watching it all. She felt light, like a huge rock had been lifted off her chest. She'd done it. She'd caught Karen, her picture, her video, her notebook. They'd shown everyone the truth. Lucas nudged her with his elbow. "You're like a superhero, Mia," he said, grinning. Mia laughed. She didn't feel like a superhero, but she felt strong, like she could do anything. Word about Karen spread through Maple Grove like wildfire. By the next day, everyone knew. Neighbors stood in their yards talking about the stolen packages. Some were mad, some were sad, but mostly they were shocked. "Karen, really?" they kept saying. At school, Mia's friends were buzzing. During lunch, kids crowded around her table. "Is it true?" Emma asked, her eyes wide. "Did you really catch her?" Mia nodded, a little shy. She didn't want to brag, but it felt good to tell the story. Soon, kids started calling her Detective Mia. They begged her to show them her notebook, the one with all her sketches and notes. Mia let them see it, and they oohed and awed like it was a treasure map. Even grumpy Mr. Jenkins, the old man who never smiled, gave Mia a nod when she rode her bike past his house. His little dog yipped, but Mr. Jenkins tipped his hat just a tiny bit. In Maple Grove, that was like winning a gold medal. Mia grinned and waved back, her heart warm. She'd never expected anyone to notice her, but now everyone did. The neighborhood didn't waste time fixing things. A few days later, they had a big meeting in the park. Everyone showed up, kids, parents, even dogs. They voted for a new HOA president, a kind lady named Mrs. Lopez who baked cookies and never snooped. She smiled at everyone and promised to make fair rules. People clapped and cheered. Maple Grove felt different now, like a place where you could trust your neighbors again. As for Karen, she was in hot water. The police said she'd face charges for stealing and she had to pay back everyone she'd taken from. That meant money for clothes, toys, and all the stuff in those boxes. Some neighbors were so mad they wanted her to move away. They didn't want to see her pointy nose or hear her heels clicking ever again, but Mia didn't care about that. She wasn't mad anymore. She won. Her mom was safe, her medicine was back, and nobody thought she was just a quiet kid who didn't matter. She'd shown them all what she could do. Mia went back to her porch that week, sitting with her sketchbook like always. She drew the street, the trees, and even Mrs. Lopez's cookie tray. But this time she felt different, bigger, stronger. Karen's reign was over and Maple Grove was better because of Mia. Mia sat on her front porch, her favorite spot in Maple Grove. The sun was dipping low, painting the sky with pinks and oranges. Her sketchbook was open in her lap, and her pencil moved fast, drawing the neighborhood she loved. She sketched the tall trees, their leaves dancing in the breeze. She drew the neat houses with their shiny mailboxes. She even added Mr. Jenkins's little dog yipping at a squirrel. But this time her drawings felt different. The neighborhood looked brighter, like someone had turned up the colors. It felt warmer, freer, like a place where people could smile without worrying. Mia grinned as she shaded in a rose bush. She couldn't stop thinking about everything that had happened. Just a few weeks ago, Karen had been the boss of everything, marching around with her clipboard, making everyone nervous. She'd stolen Mia's medicine, taken toys and clothes from neighbors, and acted like nobody could stop her. But Mia did. She was just a kid, 12 years old, with a bike and a sketchbook. She didn't have a badge or a fancy title. All she had was her eyes and her brain noticing things others missed. That was enough. Mia's heart felt big, like it could hold the whole world. She changed Maple Grove not by yelling or fighting, but by paying attention. One night, Mia and her mom, Sarah, were eating dinner, spaghetti with extra sauce, Mia's favorite. The kitchen was cozy, with a candle flickering on the table. Sarah looked at Mia, her eyes soft and proud. "You know," she said, twirling her fork, "sometimes the smallest person can make the biggest difference." Mia stopped chewing, her eyes wide. Those words sank in deep, like seeds in a garden. She thought about her notebook, her sneaky photos, and the video that caught Karen. She was small, sure, but she'd done something huge. Mia nodded at her mom, a smile creeping across her face. "Yeah," she said, "I believe that." As Mia kept drawing, she thought about what it all meant. Karen had been mean, but Mia didn't hate her. She just wanted things to be fair. Now, with Karen gone and Mrs. Lopez as the new HOA president, Maple Grove was different. People waved more, laughed louder. Kids played in the street without looking over their shoulders. Mia's friend Lucas said it felt like the neighborhood could breathe again, and Mia agreed. She helped make that happen, and it made her feel strong, like she could climb a mountain. Mia flipped to a new page in her sketchbook and started a new picture. This one was of her porch, with the fake box she'd used to trick Karen. She giggled as she drew it, remembering how nervous she'd been. It was scary to spy on a grown-up, to set a trap, to talk to the police. But she did it anyway. That made her think, what else could she do? If she could stop a thief, maybe she could fix other things too. Maybe other kids could if they tried. She wanted everyone to know that. If you see something wrong, like a bully being mean or someone taking stuff that's not theirs, don't look away. Don't think you're too small or too young. You might feel nervous, like your tummy's full of butterflies, but that's okay. Just keep your eyes open. Watch, listen, think. You might be the one to make things right, just like Mia did. Who knows what you'll catch if you don't give up. Mia closed her sketchbook and leaned back, looking at the stars popping out in the sky. Maple Grove was quiet now, but it was a good quiet, like a hug. She felt happy, not just because she'd won, but because she'd learned something. She wasn't just a kid who drew pictures. She was a kid who could change things, and that was the best feeling of all. Thanks for sticking with Mia's story. What would you have done if you were Mia? Drop it in the comments and let's keep the conversation going. See you in the next one.